Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just go through a few slides, hopefully clarify the platform a bit better. Then I'll do a quick demo of both tekReader and tekAuthor in that order. So, we've introduced ourselves, which is all great. Again, we're Igloo Tech. We're based in Sydney. We've got a team of developers here. We do more than just sort of this platform, but we're the developers. That's the main thing that people need to know here. And we have an agenda for this morning. Carl kind of did an introduction. I'll go through a brief one again. We've been working with WASA, I think, since 2017. The codes have evolved since then, but they can all be viewed using tekReader, which I'll explain what that is in a few minutes. All the WASA codes originated in Word for Windows, but now they're all in tekAuthor in certain, I guess, versions that have happened with them throughout the years. Each of the water utility uses the tek.PS platform to varying degrees, and you probably look at maybe SEQ are using it quite a bit. Hunter, MRWA, they're all kind of using it a lot, and they're seeing the benefits of using it mostly with the commenting and tasks and things like that. It can all be done in a browser, from people's houses or bedrooms, which a lot of people are in at the moment. Carl's gone through what he's needed to do, so I'll move on to the next slide. So again, tek.ps is the platform. It's a digital publishing platform, so everything's online. Has four main components: tekReader, tekAuthor, which or Sydney Water will be interested in those two, but we have tekAdmin and tekPWA. I'll kind of just gloss over those at the end, but it's a digital publishing platform and it sits in the cloud. So it's all managed in the cloud, which is quite nice. So tekReader first. tekReader, it's just an HTML5 e-reader. Again, it's self-contained and a managed web app that is hosted in the cloud. And it has been developed using open web standards, so it's non-proprietary. It renders and displays complex data structures like those found in the WASA codes, and it significantly reduces issues with document distribution and time to market, because it's all online and URL driven. It's quite efficient how the content gets out there. It's a definite viable alternative to PDF, although we still publish PDF out of tekAuthor with the content going to tekReader. Development is ongoing with a steady evolution of features that maintains alignment with emerging technologies. So we don't force any real changes on corporate environments like WASA when we make the changes. They're all quite transparent. And tekReader just basically provides trouble-free access to the WASA codes. So if we look at a real benefit of it, in today's kind of world, you need to hit all devices. I believe there's over 3,000 combinations of devices and browsers, operating systems out there that people use now. So it's important to provide that optimal reading experience to everyone. So they've got to use, everything: desktops, iPads, iPhones, from different varying degrees of operating systems, etc. So tekReader achieves this all through something called responsive technology. So basically that means that it responds based on the screen sizes of devices or desktop computers. So there again, over 3,000 combinations of devices, browsers, and operating systems. So tekAuthor is basically just an online authoring and collaboration tool. It does a lot, but what we get the water utilities to use on it, it's quite limited to allow them to do what they need to do. It's all, again, in a native browser interface, so it's online. It's a definite valuable platform for remote and disparate authoring teams. So we've really had the uptake during COVID, where people are working from home and they need to work on documentation, using this tool has been made vast improvements to their efficiency because of they're so remote. It promotes modern authoring disciplines. So most people are just sort of linear. They go from tables of contents to the end appendices. This is more of a modular type authoring, and I'll show that in the demo with some more practical examples. So this just basically unifies document teams, and it's just a set of tools, but it's all under one roof or in one toolkit, which is nice. So there's some structure I'll take you through with tekAuthor, a project. It sits at the top of the tekAuthor structure. In this case, the project will be WASA. They'll sit at the top of this group, which is next. So we have doc types, processes, labels, validation. Again, that's all transparent to Sydney Water. It's all done through Igloo. So what you concentrate on is your group. And in this case, the group, I'd assume, would be the Sydney Water pressure sewage code. So within that group, you can contain a document, as many documents as you want. In this case, again, it would be the pressure sewage code, I would imagine. And within that group, we have the members, which would be Carl would sit at the top. We'd be in there as well. And then it would be your document team and at Sydney Water. And what that allows you to do is to create comments and tasks, and they're all insular within that group. So only the members within that group have access to those. Documents can be versioned, which is quite beneficial, and they can have comments and tasks as well. And labels, which is something we set up. It's just metadata and validation on the content. And then we can have edit notes in the versions. Now, one really strong point of the docs is that they're built in fragments. They're not linear. And a fragment can be a paragraph or a table or a graphic, et cetera, et cetera. And again, that's very powerful because we can track and trace the history and revision tracking on those individual fragments. So if you look at maybe PDF, you've got tracking on the whole document. And it's kind of hard to go in and find out linearly where those updates or whatever took place. So that when everything's on the fragment, you can track and trace everything a lot more at a granular level. Fragments can also have comments and tasks in them as well. And then the labels and the edit notes on the history with labels. So realistically, what you're getting here with tekAuthor is a complete, we call it a component content management system. So it's a content management system. It's got its own database. The whole thing all underlies that technology of the online application. So if we look at a simple sort of a workflow, we've set these up for other water utilities. And I've just put people's names, and I don't know who or where they'd actually go, but based on today's demonstration, we've got Carl would probably sit up at the top as the approver. Nana, if you were the manager, you guys still with me?
Yep.
Okay, good. Nana, you'd be a manager, so you'd have roles assigned to you, and as you can see, you'd be able to comment, you'd be able to edit the documents, you'd be able to create tasks and manage all the members within your group. Again, you'd be able to approve the task if you wanted to do that as well. So the others could be the reviewers or the contributors, and I've got this viewing as a reviewer. And basically, that's just being able to add comments and view comments and create tasks for, in this case, would be for Nana or Carl or me. So you can also have a mixture of reviewers or contributors in there. So if we looked at a basic workflow, say we wanted to start the pressure sewage code, would we create a new version? Probably. So yes, down to the new version. Then the members would be able to get on board within the document, and I'll show you that in a few minutes, and add comments. The comments can be turned into tasks. All these turn into discussions. The manager then can agree on those comments and make the updates themselves if they're up to speed on making those maybe editorial updates. If there's a few more structural changes that need to be made, the manager can pass that on to Carl. If Carl can't do it, he can pass it on to me. And then basically, Carl, as the approver, would approve the beta version being published up to tekReader in the PDF. And then everyone would have a check on that before we publish it up to production. So that would be kind of your basic workflow, and it works quite well with the other utilities that are using it. So yeah, members get assigned roles, and they all have a varying responsibilities. So this is all built into tekAuthor. tekAdmin, I'll just quickly, that's just managing the application. We do most of that within Igloo. We have some clients that use it on their own. The good thing about that is we can set up a publishing job, say for the sewerage or whatever code, and we can just repeat those publishes. So if the content gets updated, we push the button, it goes out to tekReader. Whoever has that URL or access that code automatically gets those updates. So it's all quite powerful and efficient. And then what the tekPWA is, we're just developing this at the moment. It's basically like, it works like a native app like you get in your app store. And it's why we're building is to take tekReader and all the content completely offline. We've had clients that are looking at using this offline. One example are remote doctors and that in outback Australia where their connectivity isn't that great. So we're working on that at the moment. That's our next part of the tek.PS platform. So that's it for slides. So what I'll do is I'll get into the demo. Is there any questions?
Don, Milan here. I got a question about the number of contributors and the reviewers. Yeah, is there a limit? Quite often we have more than a dozen people involved. But would it be preferred to limit that number to I say manageable number of people? Or?
You can have as many as you want. It's at the very beginning, you'd organize it probably into groups. So who do you want to see or be inserted to the comments? But you can have as many groups or members within those groups as you want. It's an infinite number of members.
Do they need to be set up in tekAuthor as contributors, or can they be guest contributors?
Yes, they can be guests as well. And I can show you that when I do the demo. I'm just going to give you a quick demo of tekReader, and then tekAuthor, I'll show you that. It's quite involved, but I'll show you basics and what you guys would probably need to concentrate on. But yep, all good questions anymore, or?
Your cloud servers, are they in Australia or overseas?
Yes, we're with Rackspace here in Australia. We're going to start probably moving to Azure here in Australia as well. We started migrating things over, but right now we're on Rackspace, which is based here in Sydney. And again, with clients globally, Rackspace has cloud facilities all over the world, so we just spin up different instances, no matter, depending on where our clients are. So it's all quite an easy step to do, as you're probably aware of.
Just on that question, when we pitched this idea to the WASA board, they asked a lot of similar questions in relation to, where's the data being stored, how, safe is it? So WASA, we're happy to share some of those business cases for both phases of this project with Sydney Water if need that sort of level of detail. If you just reach out and we can provide that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so if we just look at tekReader, and this is the reader where the content gets published to. What I'll do is I've got a whole list of the codes here. Well, might as well look at the pressure sewage code, which it'll head off to. So if we just look at the interface, this is the content. I'll go through a bit of that in a minute. Up here we've got print, and if we publish the PDF with it that also comes out of tekAuthor, the users also get access to the PDF here. So we'll just open up in another browser tab, and then they've got access to the code in here, but it's the exact same content. So it's all simultaneous. We can go to single page and double page. So you might have a really big complex table that you can go to a single page on it. Just gives you more real estate. Back to double page. Changing passwords and all that. People go through the WASA portal to do this. We have that all integrated. So this is kind of a standalone to tekReader. We can turn pages through the arrows, but we can also just swipe the screen to go and paginate, and we're actually paginating here. We're making it look and feel like you're inside a book. That's the whole, that was one of the big selling points of it. People are used to looking at books or flipping pages, so that's what we're doing here. We've gone through this. This can be like a list of favorites, but again, this is more towards tekReader now. You get all this on the WASA portal. As you go in, and if you have access to whatever document, you get it from there, then it just sparks up tekReader and you start accessing the document. So if we wanted to add notes, you can add personal notes. So if you just scroll or hover over different, this is the structure, and then you can just add a note. Just personal notes for you to put into the documents, and we can save it, turn it off. And then you can roll over these notes and it'll come up with what's contained in the note, but they're also stored over here. So if you're off a few pages down, we'll head into another part 0 glossary, and you want to hit the notes, you just go in and it'll take you to that note. You can update the notes. So I can update. I got Grammarly on, save that. Close, and then again it updates it off here in the page. So it's all personal notes. It's based on your sign-in, so you could go sign in from this desktop onto an iPad or a phone, and your notes will all be retained for you. Let's just delete the note. We'll go in and delete it.
Don, just a quick question.
Yes.
If you print it in PDF now, would that note pop up as well? Would you be able to see it?
No, you'd have to use the note functionality in the PDF.
Okay.
So this is only with tekReader. We can talk about the PDF later. Carl and I have. There's reasons why we print the PDF. There's reasons why we shouldn't. There's all kinds of things we've been through the past 2 years. Carl, do you want to go through that, or just does it matter? Or
yeah, I guess. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, with the PDF at this moment, obviously WASA would like to not publish these ebooks with the print PDF version. I think that there could be a generational change that needs to occur before we're able to not produce these ebooks with print PDF versions. We're very much guided by our members and their attitudes, and so we will listen to our audience and take advice from them. But it would make our jobs a lot easier if the print PDF versions weren't necessary part of the package that we deliver with the ebooks. But yeah, we'll keep them for the time being.
yeah, we find maybe some of the members go in and will launch tekReader and then just go to print and go to the PDF and maybe print that out because they're so used to it.
Yeah, and I guess one of the one of the issues with that is that you then don't get access to all the Google Analytics to ascertain, you know, how the users of these codes are accessing your ebook. So yeah, I think there's a lot of good information that could assist water utilities understand where they need to look at perhaps reviewing or bulking up sections of the code, providing more informative information, guidance notes if they understood a lot of people were focusing on a particular area or spending a lot of time looking at a particular section in an ebook, which obviously can't catch if it's someone's downloaded a PDF and are using that as their main source of document.
Yep. And obviously harder to read PDFs on phones, but we'll get through that in a minute. So that's sort of the top menu. On the left, we have these sliding panes that open up. So you can have your tables of contents, which can expand. You can expand them all at once, collapse them all at once, or individually go in and expand and collapse them. So all these tabs are generated from the published. They're auto-generated. You've got a list of tables, your list of figures. You might want a list of abbreviations within the document. We can basically add any tab up here that we want. Footnotes, so you can head off to a footnote if you want. It'll highlight, and then you can pop up the footnote, which comes up there. So these tabs are auto-generated, and again, they can be customized. The only one that needs to show up all the time is the talk. So we control this all through the publishing process and the admin saying, yep, we want tables, we want figures, etc., etc. There is a search in here. What it does is it searches across all the content. It's not a powerful search. One of the things we're doing this year is we're going to upgrade the search functionality in tekReader. So if I maybe search for the word sewer, these are all key terms, so there's autocompletes, like pressure, reticulation, sewer, search for that. And what it does is it goes through the complete set of content sitting behind the scenes. And hopefully, yeah, we've got 395 records. So if we go into an area where it's found one, it'll go in and highlight it again. And the actual phrase will be in dark blue, but all the other sort of pressure, sewer wording will be in the light blue on that page as well. And within there, it also keeps a history of your search terms. But if you close the browser session or log out, the history will then disappear. So it's only valid for your current browser session. Feedback, again, what we do is we basically provide, like in the instance of this, we'll put Carl's email in there, and whatever feedback is provided by the members, he'll get that email. We'll get the email as well. And then we converse over, does Carl need to get back to the member, or do we need to do it? Is it content related or whatever? And then in here, we've got our help. So all these links are linked to our guide, which is also in tekReader. We've got a few little tips up here, a short little video, and you can take a quick tour. So it's quite comprehensive on how does this tekReader work. So if we head off to just some page, or what's happening on the pages, what's being published, you can see we have all these little kind of blue words here. These are all from the dictionary, from the glossary, definition terms. So if you're selecting them and popping them up, people, obviously engineers probably know what they all mean, but it adds quite a bit to the page and what people are trying to get out of it. So if we paginate a few over, it's got internal links, obviously, because it's online. So this is all this is all produced from the publish. So if we head off to 313, it'll highlight. We can link out to external websites. So everything's at your mouse click or at your fingertips, depending on what you're using. We can head off to a wiring diagram. So all these wiring diagrams are obviously very large. And what we do with that is we basically have something called an SVG viewer. And if we hit that, it'll pop up, and it'll be like you're viewing it on a big table, and you'll be able to scroll it around using your mouse or your fingertip, and then you can actually scroll or zoom right in and maintain the quality of all those wiring diagrams. So again, this is quite a powerful tool that makes up tekReader and everyone accessing them. Go into, might just collapse it all. I'll go into Appendix A. And then here we have anything that's got lots of equations in them. We handle all that through structure as well, through tekAuthor, so you can pop the equation up. And what you have within tekReader is something called MathJax, which is a utility which allows you to, change the zoom factor if you want. So next time you hit it, it'll be larger. So it all depends on what the reader and how the reader wants to view this. This is all in the guide as well. We can the trigger, we can double click it. So if we double click it, it opens up, not single. So this is all MathJax, which is a utility that's built right into tekReader and the browser. That's probably about it for tekReader. There's, depending on what sort of content you're serving up, it'll handle just about every sort of technical document construct that you've got out there. Carl, you want to add anything else, or have I missed anything?
Oh no, just so any feedback that WASA receives through Igloo and through that link, that feedback could be from design consultants, it could be from contractors, it could be from any user of your code. And we've established protocols with water utilities to provide them with regular feedback on that comment and feedback, so then they can determine if what course of action is necessary to address that feedback and or even respond if they feel that they have to.
While you're here, I might as well show you, this is the emulator in Chrome. It's the compact screen size. So this is what you'll get on the phones. Again, I'm just using the browser. I've gone into the Chrome DevTools and said I want to view it as an iPhone 12. So what you do is you get in here and you're scrolling. There's your notes. So up top we have kind of our quick access menu items. So we think notes, your quick contents. It'll actually highlight where you're at in the document. Scroll back up and go into general. You've got your pop-up definitions. You've got a quick search here. And then behind these ellipses is your main menu items again. So your contents, where your figures and footnotes and everything are. Everything's tucked away behind here. So that's our sort of our responsive, I guess that'd be more of an adaptive type way of how we deal with small screen sizes. Any questions on tekReader?
Just a question. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Nada.
Okay. Sydney Water has our own information systems to manage the review of the documents,
Yep.
But it's not as powerful as your tekAuthor. I'm just wondering how because before we publish any documents, we will have to upload the comments register manually onto our system, and then for our general manager to approve, and also for our controller to approve before it is being published. I'm just wondering, in this case, is it just copying the link? If I copy the link of this tekAuthor and put it in our own information system, our manager or controller will be able to get access and look at all these comments, and approve it.
Yep. So basically, if you need other people to go and approve it, depending on what level or you want them to be at, they could be part of that group in tekAuthor, which I'll show you. Or if you just want them to read it and provide their own personal comments in that, it can be set up in tekReader. So tekReader, you can have public documentation, so it's open to in the public domain, or you can have it sitting behind user login credentials and passwords. WASA is a little different because everything's done through their portal, but we could give access. We could set up you know, a couple users to access it through just straight through our domain or our TekReader one. But everything goes through WASA. That's correct, Carl, right?
Yeah, I was going to say that. I mean, we could produce a print PDF version from tekAuthor before it's published, so that you could get the internal approvals that are required to get the document signed off, so you can publish it. If that process lives outside of the working group that are really overseeing all of the changes, and at the final part of that process, you need someone to sign off on the document, we can export a PDF or a Word document out, and then that could be, an internal milestone to sign off on it. And does that help? I'm not sure.
So that PDF will contain all the comments registered. I mean, because we get audited regularly, so the auditor will need to know what processes have we gone through.
Yep.
To review our documents. So they will need to see all those review,
Yep.
those comments register.
Can we export those out, Don, from the dashboard, or
Are we talking in tekAuthor or tekReader? No.
tekAuthor?
So tekAuthor, yeah, because it's all in a CMS, we can extract anything we want. But if they have access, if they want access to other people's comments and that, we could provide that for them.
Yep.
But why not just get them on board and they access it themselves? I mean,
I guess there's the dashboard function. If it was just an auditing purpose, and they, the auditor needed to ensure that it's been widely circulated within the business and comments have been received and closed out, then using the dashboard functionality, you'd be able to demonstrate that you've gone through this collaborative process and that all comments have been closed out.
Yeah, I mean, to make it short, in short, because it's a CMS and it's everything stored, you can build reports out of it any way you want, really, out of tekAuthor if that's needed, Nana.
Okay,
so
thanks.
to approach this from a different angle, we're getting internal comments on a document, so it's separate to tekAuthor, and we're potentially getting an external source of comments which would be coming from tekAuthor. Is there one way we could consolidate those comments into one location to address them all?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, technically, you can do that. How much will it take, or how it's done? You could probably do it, many different ways. But yeah, you could combine them. I can't see why you wouldn't be able to. But when you're kind of maintaining versions in a couple different places, it can get a little crazy, as you guys probably know. But those are all things that can be worked through and solved. So I guess this kind of is a good lead into tekAuthor then. I can take you through the tekAuthor bit now. So I'll just show you quickly how to sign in. So I've signed in as info@iglutech. I'm an administrator on here, so if I signed in as with my regular credentials, it'd just be, there's so much on there that it'd be a bit confusing. So I've logged in as info@iglutech, and it's just basically given me, I'm a guest at WASA level, which, remember I showed you the project in the slide. So this is your project level here. We've got new features. Great, I've got it. We don't have any open tasks. So this is like your homepage dashboard. Recently viewed. We haven't recently viewed any documents in this group or project. And here are some comments. So these are actually comments that Carl and I went through with this document. And the last one was a couple months ago. So, I mean, if I wanted to log out, Carl has a nice little C up here when he's on board, and I just say sign out, and I head back to the login page. Always good to sort of bookmark, because it's online. You can bookmark these pages to get to them easily enough. when you leave. So if I log in again, we've got the WASA project. And if I hit that, I go into the group, and I've set up this group as the WASA 109 document. So anyone that's part of this group can comment and create tasks and update this document. So in here, I'm a contributor. If I hit that group, I go to a dashboard. Well, I'll have my discussions, my tasks, documents, the members. So this is a kind of a quick dashboard for the group. So if I want to go into that group page, what you get automatically is your feed. So today I did a bit of practicing for the demo, so I've got what I did in the scope area. If we want to look at some stuff that Carl added in 2021 through the feed, we had some table formatting issues. So if I hit the link, we'll go to Carl's and my discussion. So these are our actual discussions we've had. If we look at the top one, Carl said he wasn't sure what he was doing wrong, and I said, Carl, what are you trying to do? I wasn't quite sure. He said he couldn't populate the table, so it was a little beyond him what he wanted to do. He attached a document for me to look at, and then I just went in and I populated the table for him. And he said, great, resolved, close the task. So these are discussions. They can also be you can navigate through these top areas as well up here to go to the discussions and tasks. I just go back to the group page again, and now I want to, get to the publication. So I hit publication. Your group might have more than one publication. This one just has the flange gaskets and O-rings documentation. So again, there's some menu items up here. We have 21 comments. tekAuthor creates, or documents are a little different in tekAuthor. Each sort of section is called a document. They call them documents. So 83 documents basically make up this publication called Flange Gaskets and O-Rings. So if I go in and select that, I go to the actual area. And this is probably the area where everyone within Sydney Water or any other water utility are interested in. So I can actually go in and bookmark that internally within tekAuthor. So save the bookmark. So if I hit that, it's going to show up here, and I can get to it anytime I want within this area. So if we quickly look at the interface, these are all documents. I won't get into what type of documents there are. There's 3 types, but we usually set all this up. And then the utilities go in, or Carl goes in and does his edits and things like that. So we can close the table of contents. We can open them if you need more real estate on the screen. We go down the left. Again, these might not be really relevant to you at this time, but document references, so links coming in and out. We can view the folders option of how the document's set up. We can search, which is quite more powerful search than what tekReader has. This is all the daily group activity. Again, there's mine today on the 14th of February. We can actually go in and validate based on the structure or best practice, so we can set all that up. And then again, for audit trails and that, we can compare the versions of the documents. So, basically, again, if I go into 1.1 scope, this is called a document, and I want to compare that. It'll give me a snapshot of what's been done. So these fragments, 99% of it's different, because basically the first version was probably a shell that we went in, Carl and I, and added content to. So if I hit fragment 2, this is now where your audit trails start coming in. We've got revision tracking throughout there. This is what I did originally on the 15th of August. Carl went in and did his thing. He basically went through 3 edits on those fragments there. And this is what he did on each edit. A good powerful part of this is you can actually revert back to whatever version or edit that you left it at. And as I get in, I'll show you the fragment levels, how powerful it really is doing it at that granularity. So if I want to view the original document, as I said, it was just a shell called scope. And I think Carl went in and changed the title of that, and he probably did. No, he didn't, scope. But he went in and did and edited this document, which is shown over here in these history fragments. So again, are you going to use that part of it? I don't know. Carl uses it. If we close these down now, get a little more real estate. Over on the right, again, these are menu items for this document. You know, we can go in and look at the discussions, the tasks, validate, the history for the document, not the actual fragment. This is where we actually publish out to PDF or tekReader. We can publish right out of here to it. Again, up top here, there's menu items that you may or may not use. I'll just take you through the whole, all the documents in this publication. If you want to see the structure that sits behind all this, this is what makes it really powerful. It's all XML, so it's all tagged up with ID attributes on it, and there's some metadata in here. So this is where the real power of it gets. And again, authors don't need to see this part of it. If someone wanted to look at it, they could look at it there. And like Word, you can turn on your authoring settings, your paragraph end tags, and things like that. So if we looked at the actual working area and we wanted to edit this or look at these fragments, each one of these are a fragment. So they're a paragraph containing their own fragments. This just gives you the granularity of being able to comment on each paragraph individually. It could be a table, it could be a figure, and it also gives you the ability to track the history on each one of those fragments. If I go into this vertical ellipses, I can post a comment against a fragment or a task, or I can view that history. So this was the same history we looked at earlier. So again, you can go and get at that history from the fragment level. And this is what we call the modular authoring. So each thing's in the fragments. We can reuse this paragraph anywhere we want in other documents. So if you make a change here, it'll update anywhere else in any other document you have it in. So if we want to go in and actually edit the content, we can switch to the editing mode. And again, the menu item changes. So we can move the fragment up. We can add an edit notes. So adding edit notes it's just an explanation of what you've done for the paragraph. Then we can pull that out into notes for revisions. We can put labels on. I won't get into that. Labels, it's just adding a lot of metadata. We can reset the fragment content if you want to. We can delete the fragment or archive it or move it up and down. So say I want to just add a fragment. We've got templates. You'll usually use the default, that's the paragraph, but you can add a table, a figure, a video, or source for referencing. Again, you probably don't really need to get into any of those. So if we add a default fragment and then add content for this demo. Sorry, I have Grammarly here. I'll just turn that off. That just does my spell checking and grammar for it, which you can add on. So if you went through the whole document and did a whole pile of changes, you can save them all up here at once, or you can save the fragment individually. So if I save that, checks it, it's all saved. So now I want to add a comment. If I go out of the editing mode, I want to add a comment. So you get your post your comment window up, and I'm just going to say add a comment. It's probably not very intuitive, but there you go. But you can format it. You can do what you want. You can attach documents to it down here. But one thing comments always turn into is usually a task. So you can basically say, okay, I want to turn this comment into a task. So if you go hit that, all your task metadata comes up. And this is all customizable. This is what it comes with. You want to say open the task. You want to give it maybe a low priority. Whoever's in your group is going to show up here. Peter's in this group, Carl and myself. It's a fairly small group. I'm just going to send this task to myself. And the due date, I'm going to give it the 17th. I won't attach any files. I'll post the comment. And what it does is it gives me that task icon on the right to tell me I have a task against that fragment. It also comes up here in the document task icon. I also get an email. So I'll just show you that. Let me drag that up there. So I've got this email here saying I've added a comment and a task. Now these are notifications. Some people don't want to get emails. You can turn all those off. You can get weekly digests. You can get daily digests. I might get weekly digests of Carl and what he's doing with other groups. But everything's coming through an email as well to notify you. And again, it can all be customized of how much you want this to happen. A lot can be happening if you're not part of a group, but maybe you're a moderator. You might just want to get a weekly or a daily digest. So it all comes through the emails, all set up. Again, if I look over here, maybe go into comments, I get a little blue dot here. It tells me I have a comment in here. If I head off to this area, there's my comment. And then what I'm getting is the discussions and basically what that comment was. Carl was in there. I think, what do you want to do there, Carl? I'm not sure, but what I needed to do was, we wanted to change the name of a document, wasn't quite sure how to do it. So what I did was I videoed it and I attached it to the comment. So Carl opened up that video and got a first-hand look on how to do that task that he could not do. So that's where you get some pretty powerful support in here. Either Carl or I can attach videos or documents to help you get through any issues you're having with doing certain tasks. And again, you can be an expert at this, you can be intermediate, you can be a beginner, whatever you want to do with this, it's entirely up to you and what you need to do within your business. If I close that down, I'll go into the task. And you can see in here, I've got the little red dot, meaning I've got a task in there, and that's the task that I've just added. So again, everything's up here in the tasks area. It's added at the very top of the hierarchy of the tasks. And then I can, link to it, go to it, finish it off, go in and basically update it. Carl can close it. We can continue on, but this is where all your discussions and that start. I won't go into any more. There's admin stuff to this. There's some powerful searches and things, but for the level that you need to access it at with the pressure sewage code, it's all quite intuitive and easy to use. And all this content is being published to TekReader. All this content is being published out to PDF. So you're storing it once and publishing it everywhere. You can publish it back out to Word. It's multi-channel publishing. You can publish it anywhere you want, really. Is everyone still with me?
Yes, thanks, Don. That's very informative.
That's I mean, there's a lot to it, but that's probably about it for the tech author side of it.
Yeah, I think that's enough for today. As in, we'll learn more about it in the future training sessions with you guys. Are there any more questions from Rob or Milan?
Nothing from me, Nana.
One question. I understand the codes can be changed at any time. We don't have to wait for, I don't know, 2 or 3 yearly publications or editions, amendments, whatever. So how are the users, how are they notified of any changes? Is it automatic, or is it only when they open the document they can see the change.
We can do it a couple of ways, Milan. So obviously we get a URL from Don, and that might be for a new version. And what we would do is we've got some processes within WASA that would say, for example, it's a really minor update. So we would say, okay, all existing code holders of the Sydney Water edition of the code would get the next update, and we would add to their account that code. So that would be shown up in their when they log on to the WASA website. They would see that they've been given a new product, and that product would be the new version of that code, and it would be something that we would do internally and would generate, and then we would send a campaign monitor to say maybe 300 people that have registered code holders to advise them that that there's a new version of the code available, and we would do that after speaking with Sydney Water and you know, establishing when that implementation date was going to be you know, enforced by Sydney Water. But we would discuss with you the timing of the release of that code, and if it was a major review, then and there was a cost involved, because WASA obviously to pay for the platform that we use, to pay for engagement of Don and his team to be able to support. WASA board decided that we were going to charge fees for the sale of these codes, and that that would be used as a revenue stream to provide and support the National Codes Initiative. So I think that answers your question. So we would, yeah, we would.
Milan, if you look at that TekReader again here, we can take that revision information and publish it out. We did this with Hunter, where we just created another tab, like automatically published out the revisions for them. So again, there's some metadata in there. Again, it can be customized to whatever you wanted it to be, to inform the users that there has been revisions.
Right.
Okay, thank you. So if there's no other further questions, we can close off the meeting. But thanks a lot, Dawn and Carl, for once again to talk to us and give us this presentation. So yeah, we look forward in working with you guys.